You know, you go on the internet and you'll see stories where they'll show you a picture, just like reading a book. You'll see a picture, and that picture will show you something that the story is about. And then you will go the whole story with that one picture. So they show you a white cop uh, putting hot coffee in the face of a black woman who is police chief. Okay, that's one story that perhaps could happen. But then they show you another one in a different way, another one in a different way, and it's all you'll see it. Racist cop does this. Racist cop that hates black does this, and the black person always wins in the end, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine because they should. If they're right, they should win in the end. But to feed definitely racism, this is what you're doing. Program after program, story after story. You never see anybody else against a white person or what they do against a white person. Well, okay. You don't see what they do against an Indian, what do you do against somebody else. You only see racism, black and white. And it's white against black. And it's so subtle. If it was just one program, that's fine. Two programs, okay, it happens. If it's wrong and you pray that never happens, but they feed it. They're strumming the emotions of because you're black, you suffer this. Not true. Because you're white, you suffer this. Because you're Indian, you suffer this. Because it's not true. What's true is you can turn anything around. You live the way Christ wants you to live. And you believe in righteousness and holiness and truth. And you do what is right. There is no way you're ever going to be racist towards anybody. Ever. You're not going to see the skin color first. You're going to see that individual as they are. And if they're wrong, you're going to get on your knees and pray for them. And pray that God help them to even want to find the way. That's why he says, pray for your enemies. Pray for those that despitefully use you. Pray for them. Because Jesus Christ doesn't feed hatred, and he doesn't take sides. So now, after they get these racist bikers, story after story after story, how rotten these bikers are. They come in and they take over the town. They come in and they arrest the elderly, little children. They do everything evil. Who in the world are they trying, and what are they trying to promote? One story, two stories, but all the stories. Okay. So you see that. Well, now you see the Obamas having racist experiences with white people. I think it's with white people, allegedly with white people. So now Michelle and Barack are on the scene, and what they suffered under the hands of the whites. They are rich because of white people. They are in Martha's vineyards with the very elite and the rich because of what the white people have done with them and helped them and promoted them. But that's poor them. They suffer racism. What are they feeding? Now, I'm not accusing them. I'm not telling you. I know Obama is doing this, and I know that Michelle is doing that. I am only saying this is what it feeds. This is what this kind of stories feeds. So at first, when you start listening to, oh, that's a good story, it's kind of like interesting. And I don't always like to watch videos, but it's like reading. You can hear the story. So you could walk around the house and you can hear a story. And you could see the end where righteousness is done in the end. And that's great. That's good. Righteousness should always come to the top. But not every person is racist. What are you feeding? What are you constantly feeding to this subliminal mind? What are you constantly feeding, putting that in front of people? Well, they have a choice. They can go and they could choose to change the channel. True. Absolutely true. They can choose. And I've taught you from the very beginning, everything you do is a matter of choice. Do you realize if you're not racist in your heart, racism doesn't come to your back door? Do you know that? If you don't come out of a family who hates a certain color, who hates a certain ethnic group, if you don't come out of that family, you never experience racism. You only experience it whenever that background of yours from wherever your family, like, my grandmother hated people with white skin. I mean, hated them. I never did. Hated them. The family that was white hated the brown people. I mean, that's hatred. Hatred. Deserted their youngest sister, kicked them out, said, we don't want nothing to do with you because you married this person of this ethnic group. They had a lot of money, very rich. But you're garbage because you married them. Your children are all garbage because you married them. Is that right? No. But that's the background some of you have come out of. And only you can change it. I come from a large family. And one of them was filled with that hatred. Just one out of 6 was filled with that hatred. And that part of the family come along that deserted the mother. My mother, it went on parts of them. I thought, why? That's my mother's brother. And no matter what they did to my mother, she loved her brother. So I'm going to respect her brother. Now, I'm not going to take their abuse, which they never did to me. I'm not going to take their cruelty, their meanness, which they never did to me. But you see, this other one was very bitter and filled with hatred. Couldn't let it go. I grew up like my mother, forgiving. My mother forgave everybody. She would not talk about it. She would not look at it. She would not feed it. She didn't know she was doing that, but she wouldn't feed it. She would even tell you if you came to her and told you that so-and-so is saying this about you, you know what you'd say? Oh, please don't say that. That's my son's wife, and he loves her. You hurt him. If you, please don't bring that to me. I don't want to hear it. That was the way I was raised. That was my mother. So when I got persecuted because people couldn't tell by looking at me what my ethnic group was, I was okay. My sister or relatives who were darker, they suffered persecution. I didn't. But when they found out, because I am not ashamed of who I am, when they found out where I came from, oh, you talk about persecution. I went through it for almost 20 years. Everybody unkind, everybody cruel. So when I preached in the black churches and I gave my testimony, all of them knew. All of the women that went through hardships, pain, everything, they knew that I suffered what they suffered. They knew I understood them. But they also knew I would never hurt or hate or work against another person, no matter what color they were. Because I don't see color first. When I see color, I take a look at an Indian. And whether it's from India or whether it's an American Indian. And I see the beauty of that Indian. I see the beauty of their women, the beauty of their children. When I take a look at a white person, I see the beauty of their children and their beauty. When I take a look at a black person, oh my goodness, I see the beauty of what God created. I don't see anything else. I see how they think and how they feel when it's righteousness. I think when I talk to people all over the world, I don't see their ethnic group. I see them. And Jesus, I wouldn't say he was colorblind, but I would say he never concentrated on your color. He didn't pick you out and choose you because your ancestry endured this or because you went through that. That isn't why he called you or picked you. He picked you because he created you and he loves his creation. And that's why he died for you. Because no matter who you are, where you're from, he died for you. So you respect him. Oh, you could sit down and you could want to change things so bad. He just has to be this color. He just has to look like this. He just has, because that's what you are. And you don't realize the words of Paul the Apostle was, I became all things to all men, so some may be saved. So if Jesus to you is like this, it's because he created you and he understands from the beginning to the end. Not because God lifted your ethnic group up greater than anybody else's. You do that. Look at what certain religions did to his mother, to Jesus' mother. You think she lifted herself up? No. What the Bible says is she pondered things in her heart. She kept them between her and God. Didn't mean she went and told people. Didn't mean she went and told them that I'm the only one that can reach God. Because she knows what the Word said. The Word said that even she needed saved. The Word said that God would try her heart. That she was no different than any other mother. Even though God did call her to be the mother of the Son of God. And even though he highly favored her because that's the one he chose. But all of this other stuff that you see is all distraction of flesh. It would do you good to go into the book of James and see why you are so tempted. When you are tempted to hate someone else for where they came from, for where they were born, for what they look like, not everybody looks the same. Not everybody has the same mind, the same feelings, the same anything. But you have such a bitterness. And, he calls it bitterness and gall. Now, if you understand what the word gall means, and I'm not talking about the one that's written in the Bible, gall means you have the audacity to dare to hate somebody for who they are because they're not like you. Some will say, oh, look at her. She can tell so-and-so off. She can tell so-and-so off. And she can tell you she's not ashamed that she has slept with anybody's husband. Look at her. She's so brave. That's not bravery. That's gall. That is bitterness inside and hatred inside. I am going to have my way, and I don't care who dies in the doing of it. I'm going to have my pleasure. I'm going to go where I want to go and do, and it's all evil. But you look at her and say, she's just like me. She suffers like me. So you go into identity politics. It's about time we had a woman in office for the highest office. Why? Why is it about time we have a woman? So far, no woman has been worthy. Say, oh, well, the one that ran for it sat down and said right to the camera, I'm a witch. That doesn't make her worthy. The underhanded and evil things that she allegedly did doesn't make her worthy of being a leader. Climbing up on the backs of people. We got to destroy her. We've got to stop them for accusing my husband, even though she knows that he did it. Even though, from what I hear, allegedly, he can come out of the room with a black eye. That tells you that is one demonistic person. The only person I ever knew that came out of a room all beat up was a person who was so mentally ill, so filled with demons attacking them. And that was my mother. Because she was beat so bad. So bad. From the time I was little. And she got locked up because she did not know what day of the week it was. Now, if you were beat like her, you wouldn't know what day of the week it was either. Your brains would be bashed out. That's why they locked her up. The real culprit, the one that was mentally ill, the one that was really sick, was the one that was beating her and running around on her. That's the one that was sick. But they locked her up. Just like he hit me. He hit you on this side. Your brains are going this way. Hit you on that side. Your brains are going that way. And he's hitting and hitting and hitting until you don't know who you are. You don't know where you came from. You don't know why you even exist. All you know is this beating. That's it. That's all you know. But, but Dad, Bam! Don't you dare tell me anything. You know how many women go through that today? Man is everything. The guy goes to work with a pastor, and he's the highest worker in the church. He's there from beginning to end. He deserts his children. He hates his children. He mistreats his wife. He confuses them all, drives them all crazy, takes every penny off of them, robs them, and gives to the church so he can be something in church. I've seen it. I know human beings that have done this. I'm not saying all of you are like that, because you're not. Oh, God has good people. People who love Jesus Christ so much, they would rather die than to hurt someone else. They would. They would rather die than cause an offense to even their own children. The pain of hurting someone else would be greater than if someone hurt them. And that's the truth. That's where my mother went. That's where I went. But you wouldn't understand that. Because if you never went through it, how would you know? And what I went through is nothing. I'm telling you, nothing compared to babies who at the age of 5 and 9 years old are having their breasts cut off and having their genitals cut off as a little boy. Nothing. There's no psychological damage that could be done to a human being than to take that off of them. And they got teachers. You need to change your gender. They have, look, when a little baby of 5 years old, 4 years old, has any thoughts about sex, you better be positive that an adult had something to do with it. You better be positive that somebody was doing this with them. Because they don't come out with that. They're innocent. They're born innocent. I don't care what preacher lies to you and tells you they're born demons, and the only reason why you don't kill them is they're so cute. You listen to pastors like that, you got a problem. You listen to pastors say, send me your money, and I will turn it into a lot more money for you. So you have $3,000, and they send you a link and say, well, put it there and we will take it out of your wallet and we will use that money and get you more money. And you're so ignorant that you do it, and it's all the money your family has in the world. Why? He's a pastor. He would never do anything to me. Why, he's all over the internet. He's a pastor. You could see on his, they are asking you to donate to their ministry. They are asking you for your money. Do you know that that's a sin? Do you know that? If I were to sit here and tell you, I need your money, if you don't give it to me, you're not going to get blessed. If you don't do what that Bible says, and I can take it and twist it and set it up that it's all for me, I get a mansion, I get the best of everything, I get people that have businesses and they want to be a part of it. They give me everything, because I know how to steal from you. I know how to covet your money. The real true preacher is the one that says, I don't want your money. Of course, you're not going to get, if you were to give me $100,000, that earned you nothing. I promise you nothing for it. If God lays that on your heart and that's what you believe God is doing, God says for me, take it and say thank you, because I have plans for it. But to ask you for it, I would be afraid to pray and say, well, this one, he has so much money. She has so much money. They have so, make them give it to me. You covet their money. It's not how you do. Oh, send your name out in, and oh, I've heard these so-called quote and unquote prophetesses. Send your name out into the air and make sure everybody that has money hears your name, knows your name. It's out into the air, and God's going to take that and give you everything. And you have no idea how evil that is in the sight of the Lord. Money was so important to God that people fell down dead, like Ananias and Sapphira. What did he say? He said, while it was in your hands to do with what you wanted, you could have said, well, I decided not to give it. You could have even said, I changed my mind. But what they did is they worked against God and plotted together to take back what they gave. I see that as a 5013C. I really do. I've had pastors tell me, you need debt, Marian, so you don't have to pay taxes. No, I don't. I need to pay taxes. I'll pay them. But I am not going to get a 501c3 so that you could get a kickback in the end. Because if you get that kickback, that deductible, and that's why you did that, you gave God nothing. You put money in the bank for whatever time of year you want to get it out. What are you doing playing? What are you doing allowing people to lie to you? What are you doing calling out God to give you that home? I've seen them. That's my home. Really now? How could you pass by a home and say, well, I claimed it, I named it, and I claimed it, it's mine. God promised me that everything I name and claim is mine. And I said, what about the owners? Well, I don't know about the owners, and I don't even care. Because it's not going to be theirs very long, it's going to be mine. How does that happen? How does that happen that you covet your neighbor's house and you claim it that God's going to give it to you? If you get it, woe is you. Because that means you have a powerful witchcraft that works to get what you want. What is wantonness? Well, some could apply it to sex. They want this, they want that. But you could apply it to everything else. Like I said, the one pastor, he lusted to have more parishioners. He lusted to have more money. He lusted to be able to have influence and have the community, to have everything. He lusted for it. His heart couldn't sleep and couldn't rest until he had it all. So he worked towards it. And if he had to destroy his own wife to get it, he did it. Because if she dared tell him different, he'd punch her right in the mouth. Right after preaching hellfire and brimstone. He would just, as soon as she said, just like my dad, as soon as she said, but so and so, this isn't right. Bam! Right in the mouth. Oh, you never see them coming. You never have time to think. You never nothing. You just get your brains bashed out. That's all. You can't reason. You can't think. You can't anything. And now it's worse. It's worse because children are going through worse. But you know what? There's children out there that know the truth. They wouldn't let anybody make them hate. They would see those that abused them. They would see them saved. You don't go chasing after them. You don't go trying to tell them anything. All you do is be kind. Be kind. God is kind to the evil of the world. Every person that ever hurt me, bad, I was kind to. I held up in prayer. I didn't hold them up that God bless them with the power to overcome, to do this, to have this. That isn't what God was talking about. The blessing was, lead them to repentance, Lord. If there's any way to reach that soul, help them find out that that isn't Jesus. They're using his name. They're blaspheming his name, Lord. If there's a way to forgive them and lead them to repentance. That is the blessing he's talking about. But you're so foolish. Give them the power. Give that president unusual wisdom to obtain what he needs to obtain. So he runs roughshod over everybody and hates America so bad that he lets invaders in. He lets everything evil happen. Because you're praying for him. Why, your pastor said you need to pray for your leaders because every man was put into office because God put them there. No, 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 no. You put him there. There comes a time where you prove to God that's what you want. You don't want righteousness or truth. You get to a place where you say, well, God will never send us anything that's good. And then he sends it to you, but we got to vet him. We got to find out. Look, he wants to protect you at the borders. He wants to stop the atrocities with children. He wants to find those children that are missing and used in slavery. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. And he does it. And everybody, even his enemies, have to say he does it. But you, in your foolishness, but we need a woman. Some of you are so foolish that you work on your bodies till it becomes as strong as what you think is a man. Because you figure the way to fight a man is to do that. No, 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 no. Keep your femininity. Keep how God created you. Oh, the blessedness of being a woman, of being a mother. The blessedness of knowing and understanding. The joy, the absolute joy of your children. The absolute joy that you are physically the weaker vessel. And that if you need this, you need something open because you're not strong enough, you could hand it to him and he'll do it. Because you can't reach that. You say, I need that, and he'll do it. If he's a good man, he'll do it. He'll do anything that he knows you're the weaker vessel, you can't do it. He'll do it. That's the joy of being a woman. And you'd have, but I don't feel very feminine. Well, of course you don't. You wear pants all day long and jeans all day long and tennis shoes and you wear sweatshirts and you do everything to look like a man. Put on a frilly dress. Put on a pair of stockings. Put on a bra. Start walking in a little bit of heels. Put on a little bracelet or something that makes you feel feminine. Put your hair up that makes you feel feminine. Once you feel like a woman, there's nothing like it. Nothing can compare to it. Once somebody shows you respect because you're a woman and opens the door for you. Well, I'm not talking about these whores that sit in front of a camera and say, well, I may be a whore, but I'm an honest whore. I didn't call her a whore. She called herself a whore. But people come along and say, you shouldn't use that word. Why not? It's in the Bible. A prostitute is a prostitute. You know, some of them have been sold into slavery that they don't even know how to feed themselves, how to cook, how to clean. The only thing they know of is what they've been forced in submission to. And that's sad. I know because I've trained them. I've helped them. I've helped them to change their life in God. I've prayed over them every single day and watched them transform into a godly woman right before my eyes, right before everybody else's eyes. I know. I know that anybody can change with him as long as you're willing to dig deep in God and say, Lord, why am I doing this? Why am I this way? Help me to find the answer. Like this one young man that, without even thinking, he gets on the internet and he sees a man who calls himself a pastor. And that pastor talks to him about transferring money into a certain form. It says, well, you know, if you use this link, then we will get all the money out of your wallet and we will put it in and we will make money. Sure you did. You just sucked it up and it's gone. Then you don't even answer the person that you took it off of. Now, you're a pastor and you're doing this. And then he calls you back and he tries to get in touch with you to tell you, look, I can't afford to lose that money, that $3,000. And what do? You tell him, well, I'm using it to make money, your money to make money. So if you want it back, send me $150. You dare call yourself a pastor. You steal. That's stealing. You took complete advantage of a man who didn't know anything and you knew it. Because you're not stupid. If you're doing that, you're worse than any scammer. Like the one that one of my relatives, he tithed $100,000 to his church. I won't tell you what religion, but it's a religion that believes that men, quote and unquote, you can't do nothing without them. So he tithed $100,000, and his pastor ran away with the money. And now he never goes to church. He just doesn't do what he used to do. He doesn't think the way he used to because someone really took advantage of him. And you let them. You never say, wait a minute, hold on, let me think this over. Let me talk to you about it, God. I can't give that much money to him because he calls himself a pastor. Then you have those that invest. That's the robot. That invest with you. They become partners. And you look at them and you say, well, they're Christian. They'll never hurt me. So you go to work one day, you're handling millions of dollars, and you go to work one day and everything's shut down. Why? Because they took all of the money out of the company, broke it up into pieces, and put it in different companies and renamed it so you can't touch it. It's your company, but you can't touch it now. What happened? If you would have lived with God enough, you'd have seen it coming. But you see, you've had nothing but you on your mind. Nothing but you. If your wife didn't suit you, you went and got another one. If your kids didn't suit you, you went and got others. Oh, but you're a Christian. You didn't work with them. You didn't overcome. But oh, you want to be a minister. You want to have everything. Hey, you want the highest call there is. You can't even take care of your own household. But oh, you want everything. I'm telling you the truth. You know I'm telling you the truth. You know that God laid this message on my heart to reach some of you. If you touched even a little bit of it, it's a little bit too much. If we lose one little child to certain evil things, it's one child too many. If one baby's hair on their head, just one hair on their head, is raped or hurt, that's one too many. If you let it slide by and you never think of him, you never pray because all you got on your mind is how to get ahead, how to impress so and so, what to do with so and so, how to show everybody how smart you are, how everything you have. That's all that's on your mind. Oh, but I love Jesus. Jesus is nothing like you. Jesus loves them first. He gets up in the morning just like you do. When he walked on the earth, he came in the flesh and he walked on the earth. His mind was not towards his wants. His mind was not towards, she likes me. I like her. And maybe one day we'll have children. Maybe we'll get married. And I'm in love with her. He didn't think that way. How stupid can you be? When he got up in the morning, he thought about your soul. He thought about what he was going to have to face. He thought about what God was doing. He thought about those that were poor, those that were sick, those that had a need. That's what he thought about. He learned through the things that he suffered how to overcome it. He learned not to touch that part of life because that's the flesh. It's for procreation. It is not for your pleasure. You people that are so ignorant that you're waiting for another honeymoon. You want God to restore that marriage as hot as it was when you first got married. And that is impossible because that was the call chemically to get you married, to have children. You're so foolish. That's all you want is pleasure. I don't care if you're a pastor or a Sunday school teacher. I don't care who you are. Wanting. I want. I want. I want. I want to be known. I want people to see what I have. The Lord had me quiet and without any recognition and only persecution for 40 years. 40 years. He had me in that condition for a reason. He wanted to teach me all about what not to be. He wanted to teach me all about where not to go, who not to follow, how to be kind, how to be good, how to be used, and never desire to be seen or heard. I was content. If you didn't know my name and you didn't know my name, I was a happy camper. If I could help you and God lifted you up out of that situation, I could rejoice and feel so good because God moved for his children. And if the church down the street didn't know it, too bad. I don't care. If they want to persecute me and lie on me because I'm not part of their organization, I'm part of Jesus Christ. I'm part of God. And I don't need your approval. So, we have to have it. Yes, I'm responsible to Jesus Christ. And all of those pastors who know me, they know I live 24/7 with God. I don't just play with him. So when I speak, there's power there. It's not, the word of God is not swung like a wet noodle that has no power. Oh, but I prophesy. Didn't I prophesy in your name? Didn't I cast out demons? Get away from me, ye that work iniquity, because you worked for self-purpose. Your mind was not single on God. Because if your mind would have been single on God, you wouldn't be looking to be seen. You wouldn't be looking to be heard. You would put that in the hands of God and let him do it. You wouldn't be running ahead of him trying to be something you are not. You would be finding out what you are. And it took me a lot of years. So if you want to compete with me, catch up to me, wow, you got a long way to go. Because those of you that copy each other and make yourselves like that one and imitate that one and make yourself think, talk, and walk like that one, which is not Jesus Christ. You all say it is. But it isn't, because you cannot imitate God. You can't carry him around in your back pocket and use him when you want. You can't make him do one thing for you. You can't make him do anything. So what are you doing trying to make people like you, love you? That's all manipulation. What are you doing? The man for 20 years pined over his wife not being affectionate, waiting on God to move on her, not realizing how crazy that is. You honestly think God is going to take a woman and make her do and be what you want? That would be like her wanting you to be less affectionate and expect God to spank you good when you won't do it her way. Are you crazy? You can't do that. God is never going to take someone and make them love you. I mean, when you start praying and you see a man over there, oh, that poor thing, he suffered. Or you see a woman, oh, she's going through such a bad time with her husband. Oh, how awful. God called me to be the man or the woman for them. God called me to do that because they're not worthy. What are you doing mixed up in their marriage? What they do is none of your business. It is better for you when you are tempted towards that man or that woman to go like this. Ooh, what God is joined together, let no man put asunder. And the devil says, "Oh, but they're separated. They don't sleep in the same bed." Huh, what business is it of yours in their own house where they sleep? What business it is of yours? Oh, but I'm the one. I'm worthy. I'm worthy to be a good wife. Sure you are. You don't even have the brains not to be an adulteress. If you look upon a man to lust after him, to do what you want to do with him, and he belongs to somebody else, we'll say, oh, no, he doesn't. They live in separate bedrooms. He lives in the same house. He chose to live in the same house. That means he did not choose you. It's unbelievable to me the way people think. I'm just going to give you the truth. You take out of it what you want. You can take these messages and you can buy one thing and work with it till you overcome it. And then God will give you the next thing and the next thing. Living one day at a time, time will pass and you'll see yourself changed, and so will everybody else. But you want me to go back and dig into it and find the message that you need. Every bit of it is good for you. But you don't have to live it. He doesn't expect you to take all of that and live it all at once. He knows you can't. He expects you to use common sense, sit down and talk to him. Lord, what is the most important issue in my life that I have to get out of the way? What is the most important issue that is hindering me, where I can't be what I need to be with my family? I can't be what I need to be with you. Reveal it to me, Lord, and give me the grace to change. Give me the wisdom to know how to do this. Open up my understanding. But you don't do that. You dial so-and-so and say, I don't quite figure this out. Would you please help me? You don't dial up Jesus Christ and say, Jesus, I can't figure this out. Will you please help me? He's the best. He's there always. I wrote it in my book, how he waits for years for you to open up that Bible, to start searching for him. So you get up in the morning, you get your cup of coffee, and you sit down and you're filled with problems. The Bible's been sitting there for 20 years. And he's sitting there watching you. because he promised to never leave you nor forsake you. So he's waiting. He's waiting for you to decide to open up that Bible. And he gets all excited because you look at it and you think, and you pick it up and you think, well, maybe I will read some of it today. Maybe I'll seek God the way I should. And you put it back down. And then you call your friends who can't help you. And then you call your pastor who can't help you. Then you call your Sunday school teacher who can't help you. You call everybody. You call mother, father, and by the time you get done telling all your problems, you've done nothing else but feed it with your mouth. Now you have them feeding it, and the devil is having a field day with your problems. And you go, what happened? And God sits there and he cries. Because when you pick that up, he was anticipating your decision. And when you put it back down, you broke his heart. Because you promised him you would go his way, but you won't even find out what his way is. And if you do read it, you'll repeat it over and over and over. I got to get it in there. I got to understand it. I got to do it this way. You don't ever talk to him like he's real. You don't ever ask him to give you a word of knowledge and understanding so that you could apply it to your life. You don't ever do that. You've been told that. You've been taught that, but you won't do that. Many pastors can tell you, well, you need to die to self, but they never tell you how. You need to pick up your cross and follow Jesus Christ, but they don't tell you how. They don't tell you where you fail. They don't tell you how to succeed. They don't tell you anything. You know why? They don't know. Well, just accept it. Just take it as it is and believe it. And God will take care of it. Sure, he will. He gives it right back to you to search for him. He is a rewarder of those who seek after him diligently. He who comes to God must believe that, number one, he is God, and that he is a rewarder of those who seek after him diligently. They don't seek after him through pastors. They don't seek after him through messages. They seek after him personally, diligently in the word. Then if God wants to add something to help you understand what he's saying in the word, then he'll use a message.